The article that I found is titled "Leadership Will Change Forever After the Coronavirus Pandemic," which was written by Glenn Lopez. Overall, this article discusses how the current style of leadership, which is more standardization, has to change because of this pandemic to a more creative and personalized style of leadership. So first, the author states that in a crisis, the leaders at the top, or the official leaders, are not the ones with the biggest impact on people. So for example, a nurse in a commercial appealing to us, asking for more supplies, more masks, and like really hitting us in our hearts with her emotion is more of what we see as a leader versus someone that's not coming out during this pandemic. So the author states that anyone still relying on their title to validate their sense of power or control will soon realize that the title is meaningless. We're all witnessing the collapse of this standardization model of leadership, which is based on silos, hierarchy, command, and control. And those silos are what Rosabeth was talking about in the article that Dr. Westphal provided to us, as that in the pandemic, everyone's working from home. They're not together. They're not specifically in their departments. So it's requiring people to be more open and branching outside of their silo. The standardization model creates efficiency, which is fine in a predictable world, but that's not the case anymore. Efficiency is not resilient, and right now we're requiring resilience during this pandemic. We need adaptability, and that requires people to be allowed to be their individual selves. The author also states that individuality and personalization might appear to be chaotic, and we tend to mistakenly think that chaotic is all bad. Standardization might appear to be efficient, and we mistakenly think that efficient is all good. The limitations of the standardization model have been revealed through this pandemic, and this calls for the new style of leadership, which is personalization and creativity. And this personalization leadership style also requires courage. Leadership means being courageous enough to be compassionate and allowing others to influence their own way and decide their way of doing things. It's about being courageous enough to set aside the metrics that were set and allowing a different change in metric, even if that means that you're technically failing in the eyes of the others that are still following the same metrics. Leadership now requires giving freedom to create and develop without barriers. So breaking out of those silos and a little bit more freedom and creativity has to be allowed because you can't oversee everything if you're each in your individual homes. Personalization is the act of practicing evolutionary thinking, whereas standardization is the act of practicing substitutional thinking. Overall, this article shows how the current styles of leadership are not effective during this pandemic. They really just, like the standard way of doing things just can't happen if we're all in different places. It needs to be a change. There needs to be a more creative and personalized style of leadership because of COVID.